If you don't make yourself improve, nothing in your life will improve for you. Sit with that for a moment. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow"? How often have you known exactly what to do, yet still didn't do it? Most people don't lack potential. They keep surrendering to comfort, and comfort never builds a better life. This isn't simply about being lazy. It's about letting your emotions take the wheel. You feel tired, so you skip it. You feel unmotivated, so you postpone it. But your life doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't reward moods. It reflects actions. This video is real. It's for the people who are exhausted from slipping back into the same habits. It's for the people who want to stop wasting time and start building something that lasts. No more waiting. No more gentle excuses. If you're ready to push past your limits and take control of your progress, this is your starting point. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Stand up and fix what you keep ignoring. You want to know what's tough? Facing the thing you've been avoiding. Days, weeks, maybe even years. That's hard. But you know what's harder? Living with the consequences of never facing it. Every day you wake up and something is tugging at the back of your mind. A task you didn't finish, a habit you still haven't broken, a conversation you've been dodging, a decision you keep pushing forward. And the longer you delay, the heavier it becomes. That's the weight of neglect. That's the price you pay for ignoring what needs your attention. Improvement doesn't begin when everything feels perfect. It begins when you stand up and handle what has been slowing you down. That's the moment change starts. Most people keep waiting for an ideal day to restart. They tell themselves they'll do it next week or after the weekend, or when they feel more ready. But there is no perfect day. There is only today. And here's the truth. If you're not willing to face it now, chances are you won't face it later either. So if something in your life feels off, if deep down you know there's an area you've been running from, stop looking away. Stop pretending. Improvement begins the instant you decide you're done, acting like everything is fine. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You need to be honest. Be honest about what you've been avoiding. Be honest about where you've been sliding. Be honest about the patterns stealing your time, your energy, and your potential. Because it's not the big goals that break people. It's the small lies they repeat every day. It's the quiet agreement they make with their weaker self. That inner voice that says, "You'll do it tomorrow." That voice is not harmless. That voice is the enemy. It keeps you average. It protects comfort. And it murders progress. It sounds gentle, but it guides you toward a hard life. If you want to grow, you have to get louder with your actions. You have to break that silent contract with laziness. If your room is a mess, clean it. If your finances are out of control, open your bank account and look at the numbers. If your health is falling apart, go for a walk and eat a real meal today. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. Because the moment you face it is the moment you take your power back. Every problem you ignore grows in the dark. Every problem you face shrinks in the light of action. Most people don't fall because they're weak. They fall because they keep waiting to feel strong before they act. But that's not how it works. Action first. Feelings later. Strength comes from doing hard things, not thinking about doing them. The person you want to become is already inside you. but that version of you is buried under everything you keep avoiding. Listen, I've met people all over the world. People with talent, intelligence, and big dreams. And do you know what separates the ones who grow from the ones who stay stuck? It isn't luck. It isn't their parents. It isn't how much money they started with. It's the decision to face what's hard without turning away. They got up and fixed what they kept ignoring. You don't need a new course. You don't need a new app. You need courage. You need discipline. You need to stop asking, "How do I feel about it?" and start asking, "What needs to be done?" Start small if you have to. Clean your workspace. Answer that email. Go to bed on time. Drink water. Apologize if you need to. Finish the thing you started and left hanging. Those steps might look small, but they stack. And every one of them builds your confidence back, brick by brick. When you take action, even a small action, your brain starts believing again. Your self-respect starts growing again. You stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start feeling like you're directing it. That's power. That's ownership. That's improvement. And here's the truth. No one is coming to rescue you. No one will wake you up early. No one will sit you down and fix your problems for you. You have to do it. You have to rise and take the first step when no one is clapping for you. That's real growth. That's what separates talkers from doers. You already know what needs your attention. You don't need more time. You need more responsibility. Growth isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about choosing the area of your life you've ignored for too long and finally saying, "Enough. I'm going to handle this. I'm going to stop escaping. I'm going to stop blaming. I'm going to stop hiding." Because once you deal with that one thing, your energy shifts. Your identity starts changing. You feel more capable. You start trusting yourself again. And that's when the magic starts happening. Not in theory, but in real life. Self-improvement isn't a lifestyle trend. It's a personal promise. It's not something you do only when you feel motivated. It's something you do because you respect yourself. Every day you ignore what matters, you break that promise. But every time you take action, no matter how small, you rebuild it stronger. There is no shortcut to growth. There is only facing what you've been avoiding and doing what needs to be done, without delay, without excuses, without running. That's the work. That's discipline. That's how you get better. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's hard. But avoiding the problem doesn't make life easier. It makes you weaker. And you're not here to be weak. You're here to get stronger. You're here to push yourself. You're here to become the version of yourself that you respect. The version that takes charge. The version that leads. The version that keeps promises and handles pressure. So if there's something in your life right now that you've been ignoring, face it today. Don't wait for a magic feeling to appear. You won't feel ready. You just have to be done waiting. Stand up. Fix what's broken. Handle what's messy. Do what's uncomfortable. Because the longer you delay, the farther you drift from the person you want to be. And I promise you this. Once you do it, once you face it, once you fix it, you'll breathe differently. You'll walk differently. You'll think more clearly. You'll trust yourself more. And then you'll realize something. Growth was never as far away as it looked. It was always on the other side of doing what you kept ignoring. If you want to improve, start there. Stand up and fix what you keep ignoring. That's the first step to real change. That's how the climb begins. And once you take that step, everything else starts moving with you. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And that strength, the daily choice to face what matters, is how you force yourself to improve every single day. Chapter 2. Clean your space before you clean your mind. Chapter 2. Clean your space before you clean your mind. Look around the place you live. Look at your room, your desk, your kitchen, your car, even your digital life. Look at the clutter, the mess, the disorganization. That isn't just stuff lying around. It's a mirror. It reflects your decisions, your mental state, and your level of personal discipline. The environment you tolerate shapes how you think, how you act, and how you feel about yourself. You can't build a strong, focused mind inside chaos. If your outer world is out of order, your inner world struggles to stay sharp, calm, or focused. That's the truth. People say they want clarity, peace, motivation, energy. But it's hard to have those things when you wake up in a room with clothes on the floor, cups on the table, tasks undone, and papers piled up everywhere. You can't expect your mind to feel clear when your environment keeps reminding you of everything you haven't handled. That silent stress builds. It becomes mental noise. And every day you ignore it, it chips away at your focus, your motivation, your power. Before you try to fix your mindset, start with what you can control right now. Clean your space. This isn't just about being neat. It's about taking back control. Because when you clean your space, you clean your behavior. When you throw out what you don't need, you stop holding on to what no longer helps you. When you put things in order, your brain starts to believe you're capable of order. It believes you can fix things. It sees action. And action is the foundation of improvement. No one feels powerful in a mess. No one sits in a dirty space and says, "I feel unstoppable." We're wired to respond to our surroundings. And when you live in clutter, you train your brain to tolerate confusion, tolerate delay, and tolerate low standards. You stop seeing what needs to be done. You accept that the pile in the corner will stay there. And slowly, that acceptance becomes your standard. You stop reacting because you've trained yourself to ignore it. And that mindset leaks into everything else. You delay things. You accept good enough. You leave work half finished. You start living in a cycle of tolerating what you know you should fix. So the first step to getting your life together is simple. Take responsibility for what's around you. You don't need money to clean your space. You don't need a self-help book, a planner, or a perfect routine. You need to get up and start removing what doesn't belong. Throw away the trash. Wipe the surfaces. Organize your workspace. Make your bed. Fold your clothes. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about proving to yourself you have the discipline to create a better environment. And here's what most people don't realize. Cleaning builds momentum. You start with one drawer, and it leads to the closet. You clean the room, and suddenly you want to go for a walk. You finish one task, and your mind feels sharper. That's how it starts. One action leads to another. That's how you build movement. That's how you break the mental fog. Not by sitting there hoping you'll feel better, but by doing something small that leads to something bigger. Cleaning also gives you space to think. When your surroundings are clean, you focus better. Your thoughts aren't competing with mess. Your brain isn't drained by constant visual reminders of what you've ignored. You breathe better. You feel lighter. That's not an illusion. That's your mind finally getting a break from carrying the weight of the unfinished. And it's not only physical space. Clean your phone. Delete apps you don't use. Clear emails that don't matter. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy. When your digital world is chaotic, it pulls your mind in 100 directions. You're trying to focus, but your phone keeps buzzing. Your tabs are open. Your photos are full of screenshots and junk. That isn't harmless. It's a constant stream of noise. And noise makes it harder to think, harder to focus, harder to stay consistent. You want a better life? Start by cleaning the life you already have. Because the truth is, if you don't respect what you have, you won't respect what's coming next. A person who can't manage a messy room will struggle to manage a business, a team, a dream, because the habits are the same. Either you fix what's broken, or you look away. Either you take ownership, or you avoid responsibility. It starts small, but it always shows up later in bigger ways. People talk about feeling stuck. They say they're unmotivated, depressed, overwhelmed. And yes, those feelings are real. But many times the first thing they need isn't a deep conversation or a new idea. They need a reset, a return to order, a space that reflects intention to move forward. Because when you clean your space, you give yourself permission to show up fully again. You stop living in yesterday's mess. You start living in today's possibilities. This is about identity. When you keep your space clean, you're telling yourself, I care. I matter. My goals matter. My energy matters. That message repeats every day when you walk into a space you've taken care of, and it builds self-respect. Self-respect creates discipline. Discipline creates results. Results create change. On the other side, if you keep ignoring your environment, your mind begins to believe you're not serious about change. It believes you're okay with how things are. That belief becomes a story, and that story becomes your identity. The more you accept mess, the more you become someone who lives in it, physically and mentally. This isn't about being obsessive. It isn't about perfection. It's about intention. You don't need to deep clean your entire life in one day. You just need to start. Pick a small corner. Handle one drawer. Fold what's been sitting too long. Organize one folder on your computer. The goal isn't to impress others. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can handle responsibility. Because that proof stacks. It changes how you speak, how you walk, how you think. It sharpens your mind. People chase motivation, but motivation comes after action, not before. You don't wait until you feel like cleaning. You clean, and then the feeling of control rises again. You clean, and your thinking gets clearer. You clean, and you get that small win that leads to the next win. If your space is clean, your priorities become clearer. You're not distracted by junk. You're not pulled away by disorder. You sit down to work, and there's room to breathe. You go to sleep, and the room feels calm. You wake up, and you're not already behind. That peace matters. That sense of control matters. So don't underestimate it. This isn't just about being tidy. It's about becoming someone who takes action. Someone who values their space, their mind, their time. Someone who doesn't tolerate unnecessary stress. someone who handles what needs to be handled without applause or permission. You'll feel the difference. You'll hear it in your mood, your energy, even the way you speak to people. Because how you handle the small things shapes how you handle everything. And when you take time to clean your space, you train yourself to fix, organize, manage, and lead. That's improvement. That's personal growth. That's how you become stronger. If you want to move forward, you have to clear the path. Clean up the old before you chase the new. Take ownership of where you live, how you live, and what you allow around you. Your environment is either pushing you forward or holding you back. So clean your space, not because you're told to, but because you've decided it's time to live like someone ready to grow. And once you do, once you look around and see it clear and organized, you'll realize it was never just about the room. It was about you. It was about proving you're not someone who avoids, delays, or settles. You're someone who shows up, takes action, and builds a life with intention. Start there. Start today. Clean your space before you clean your mind. The rest will follow. Chapter 3. Do what you said, even if your mood changes. Following through on what you said you would do, especially when your emotions shift, is what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. It's easy to make a plan when you feel good. It's easy to say, you'll wake up early, finish the project, eat clean, read the book, stay off social media, or stick to your routine when you're in the right headspace. But life doesn't care how you feel when it's time to act. Life checks whether your actions match your words when it's hard. That's the real test. Most people don't struggle because they're incapable. They struggle because they don't follow through. As soon as their emotions change, they let a mood decide whether they honor their commitment. But growth begins when you stop asking how you feel and start remembering what you said. If you said you were going to do it, do it. That's where self-respect comes from. That's how character is built. That's how you become someone you can trust. If you only move when it feels good, you will never move consistently. You'll stay trapped in cycles of starting and stopping, always waiting for the right emotion to show up and carry you through. But motivation doesn't lead to action. Action leads to motivation. You have to stop depending on your feelings and start depending on your decisions. What you decided in a clear moment should not get erased just because you're having a rough day. Your goals didn't change. Your values didn't change. Your promises didn't change. Only your mood changed. So don't let a temporary emotion cancel a long-term intention. Your mood will shift constantly. You'll feel tired, irritated, bored, sad, frustrated, distracted. That's normal. But discipline isn't doing things only when everything feels perfect. Discipline is doing what matters even when everything feels off. If you only take action when the mood is right, you'll miss most of your potential. Because most growth requires effort when your energy is low, not when it's high. People say they want confidence, but confidence comes from doing the hard thing, not talking about it. Every time you show up and keep your word when you don't feel like it, you build deeper trust with yourself. You start believing you can handle pressure. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start. And that changes everything. No one sees all the private moments when you choose to show up. No one will know the exact days your energy was low, but you still pushed forward. No one claps for the quiet moments of discipline, but those are the moments that shape your life. That's where you separate from the crowd. That's where the shift begins. Not on a stage, but behind closed doors. When you decide to stick to your word, even when your emotions fight you, there will be days you want to do nothing. You'll want to skip the workout. You'll want to scroll instead of finishing your task. You'll tell yourself, just today I'll rest. Just today I'll delay. But those compromises are dangerous because they become habits, and habits become your life. One skipped task becomes a pattern of avoiding hard things, and then you're stuck again, not because you're lazy, but because you trained your brain to choose comfort before commitment. You have to train your mind to move regardless of emotion. That's how you win. That's how you separate feelings from choices. When you wake up in a bad mood and you still do what needs to be done, that is strength. That is real growth. This isn't about being robotic. It's about integrity. It's about honoring what you said when no one's watching. And here's what's real. No one is coming to make sure you do it. No one is checking in. It's on you. Your integrity is your responsibility. You said you'd do it, so do it. And if you keep doing that daily, regardless of mood, you'll be shocked how fast your life changes. Because the people who improve quickly aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who keep moving when their mood doesn't match the mission. Stop treating feelings like instructions. Feelings are real, but they're not always useful. Sometimes you feel tired and still need to work. Sometimes you feel upset and still need to stay focused. Sometimes you feel empty and still need to push forward. If you only act when the mood is perfect, you'll miss the exact moments when growth was waiting for you. If you want your life to change, become the kind of person who does hard things in quiet moments. Become someone who sees a task through, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. You build that identity by doing what you said you would do, regardless of how you feel later. That's where your power lives. On day 1, even when day 30 feels completely different. When you live like this, people notice, not because you brag, but because your actions stay consistent. You carry yourself differently. You speak with more conviction. You stop needing others to push you because you learned how to push yourself. That's what happens when your words and your actions line up. You feel aligned. You feel clear. You feel strong. Don't confuse this with becoming emotionless. You're human. You will feel everything. But feelings are temporary, and your life is shaped by what you do repeatedly, not what you feel briefly. The world respects people who keep their word. And more importantly, you start respecting yourself at a deeper level, because you know your results came from doing what most people avoid. Think about all the times you said you'd start something. How many times did you let a mood decide whether it happened? You don't need another restart. You need to become someone who finishes. And finishing starts with honoring what you said, even when emotions try to interrupt. When you make a plan, lock it in. When you set a goal, don't renegotiate it every time you're tired. When you commit to a habit, follow through even when no one is checking. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you rise. Every time you finish what you started, you grow. Every time you act without relying on motivation, you level up your identity. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel good. You won't always feel motivated. But you can always choose to follow through. That's your power. That's your edge. That's what creates momentum. Start paying attention to the little things. If you said you'd read. If you said you'd go to the gym, go. If you said you'd stop procrastinating, act now. These small moments of integrity shape everything. They teach your brain that your word means something. They show your nervous system that action is the default, not delay. Over time, that changes how you respond to every challenge. You'll still have emotions, but they won't control your life. You'll feel tired and still work. You'll feel nervous and still speak. You'll feel bored and still show up. That's growth. That's freedom. That's becoming the version of you who lives with intention, not reaction. So next time your mood shifts, don't follow it. Remember what you said. Remember what matters. Remember why you started. And do the thing anyway. Because the real you, the strong you, the focused you, lives on the other side of keeping your word when your mood says stop. That's how you take control of your life. That's how you build unstoppable momentum. That's how you force yourself to improve by doing what you said, every single time. Especially when it's hard, especially when the mood changes. Because that's the difference between people who wish for a better life and people who actually create one. Chapter 4. Talk to yourself like someone who wants better. The way you speak to yourself matters more than you think. Most people walk around all day with a voice in their head that does more damage than any outside critic ever could. It's quiet. It's constant. And it shapes how they feel, what they believe, and what they do. That voice either builds you or breaks you. And for many people, that voice has been tearing them down for years. Every time they make a mistake, it jumps in. Every time they fall short, it shows up. It reminds them of failures, past regrets, doubts, fears. It doesn't guide them forward. It keeps them stuck. You can't grow while you're constantly tearing yourself apart. You can't move forward when the first thing you hear inside is, "You can't do this," or "You're not good enough." That becomes the barrier between who you are and who you could be. If you want better, you have to start talking to yourself like someone who wants better. You can't treat yourself like an enemy and expect to succeed. That doesn't mean lying to yourself or pretending everything is perfect. It means being honest, but also being supportive. It means holding yourself accountable from belief, not from shame. Imagine you were mentoring someone who truly wanted to grow. Would you talk to them the way you talk to yourself? Would you attack them for every flaw, replay every failure, and crush their confidence before they even begin? Or would you encourage them, give direction, and remind them what they're capable of? So ask yourself, why don't you do the same for you? The words you say inside matter. They shape your attitude. They influence your energy. They guide your choices. If you keep telling yourself you always mess up, you'll never change. It's too late. You're not good enough. Then you're building a mental environment where growth can't survive. And you don't even notice because it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean right. And familiar doesn't mean helpful. Start noticing how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. Pay attention to your inner language when you feel behind, when you make a mistake, when you fall off track. Are you being the kind of voice you would trust for support? Or are you making it harder to keep going? Growth doesn't come from beating yourself up. It comes from understanding your behavior and giving yourself direction. It comes from seeing where you went wrong and giving yourself a plan to move forward. Not punishment. Purpose. That inner voice needs to become a coach, not a critic. You have to stop feeding yourself negativity and start feeding yourself belief. You don't need to fake confidence. You need to stop programming your mind with doubt. You do that by changing your self-talk, by interrupting the automatic phrases that run in the background. When you catch yourself saying, "I always quit," replace it with, "I'm learning to stay consistent." When you hear, "I'll never change," replace it with, "I'm building new habits every day." Those aren't empty words. They're commands to your brain. They shift your attention. They open another path. People think affirmations are cheesy, but the truth is, everyone uses affirmations. We just call them thoughts. If you repeat all day that you're lazy, behind, stuck, then you're affirming your limitations. You're locking yourself into that identity. But if you choose words that lead you somewhere better, everything begins to shift. You act differently because you feel differently. And you feel differently because you think differently. It isn't magic, it's psychology, it's habit, it's repetition. You can train your mind the same way you train your body. But you have to start small and stay consistent. Start by noticing when you talk down to yourself. Catch it in the moment. Don't let it slide. Call it out. Replace it. Speak words that challenge you and support you. You don't need to be soft. You need to be real. Talk to yourself with truth, but also with direction. Stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will figure this out." Stop saying, "This is who I am," and start saying, "This is who I'm becoming." The most powerful person in your life is you. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends. Because no matter what anyone says, your mind listens to you the most. So give it something strong to listen to. Stop waiting for someone to motivate you. Stop hoping someone will show up and fix your mindset. That's your job. That's your responsibility. That's how you take control of your life. This isn't about being overly positive or pretending to be happy all the time. It's about being intentional with your words, because the words you speak internally become beliefs, and beliefs drive behavior. If your beliefs are broken, your actions will never be consistent. Fix how you speak to yourself, and you fix how you show up. Start today. Don't wait for a special moment. Begin with the next thought that enters your mind. If it's negative, challenge it. If it's limiting, replace it. You have that power. You're not a slave to your thoughts. You're the one creating them. And that means you can choose better ones. Your brain believes what you repeat. If you repeat, "I'm stuck," it finds proof. If you repeat, "I'm improving," it looks for ways to grow. Doesn't care what's objectively true in the moment. It cares what you reinforce. So reinforce who you want to become. Tell yourself things that pull you forward, not push you down. You won't do it perfectly. You'll have bad days. You'll still doubt yourself sometimes. But the more you practice, the stronger that new voice becomes. Over time, it becomes your default. And when that happens, everything changes. You trust yourself more. You take more risks. You stop needing validation. You stop fearing failure. Because when things go wrong, your mind doesn't call you a failure. It calls it a lesson. It doesn't say, "You can't handle this." It says, "You've been through worse." That's the voice you need. That's the voice that creates progress. So if you want better, Start sounding like someone who wants better. Cut the self-hate. Drop the sarcasm. Stop calling yourself names. That isn't toughness. That's self-destruction. Be firm but fair. Be honest but hopeful. Talk to yourself like someone who believes you can grow, because you can. But only if you stop tearing yourself down every time you slip. Only if you build a mindset that helps you get up instead of stay stuck. You don't need a new year or a new month to change your inner voice. You can begin right now. Decide that your mind is going to become your biggest support system. That it will guide you, not block you. That it will challenge you, but never belittle you. Improvement doesn't only come from changing what you do. It comes from changing how you speak, how you think, how you respond to yourself when things get hard. It comes from building an inner dialogue that pushes you forward instead of pulling you down. That's what real strength looks like. Not pretending to be fine, but choosing to speak to yourself like someone who wants more and is willing to build it one thought, one word, one belief at a time. Chapter 5. Stop scrolling and do one useful thing. Look at your phone. How many hours disappeared into it today? Be honest. Not the time spent on real tasks, the time wasted swiping, scrolling, watching, tapping, refreshing. You're not alone. Millions of people are losing their days one scroll at a time. They're not lazy. They're not broken. They're distracted. And distraction is stealing their potential quietly, slowly, with their permission. You think you're just killing a few minutes. You think it's harmless. But those minutes stack. 10 minutes in the morning, 20 at lunch, 40 before bed. And suddenly it's 3 hours. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing that moves your life forward. Nothing that makes you stronger. Nothing that gives you clarity. Just more noise, more content, more opinions you didn't need. Every time you scroll without purpose, you trade your attention for nothing. Your brain gets a quick hit of stimulation, but your life doesn't improve. You don't get closer to your goals. You don't solve problems. You don't build anything that matters. You just pass time. And time is not something you get back. Time isn't refillable. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't earn it again. You can't download it. You can't get a refund. That's why mindless scrolling is one of the most dangerous habits you can build. And what makes it worse is how normal it feels. Everyone is doing it. You see people in restaurants, meetings, walking down the street, in bed next to the people they love, staring at screens, swiping through content that means nothing. No purpose, no gain, just passive consumption. And what happens when you live like that long enough? You lose the ability to focus. You lose the energy for deep work. You lose the hunger to take action. Your mind gets used to reacting instead of creating. And slowly, you lose momentum in your own life. You know what you should be doing. There's something you could do right now that would move your life forward. Maybe it's cleaning your space. Maybe it's planning your day. Maybe it's calling someone you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting the idea you keep thinking about, but never begin. You know what it is. And instead of doing it, you reach for your phone. You scroll. You delay. You distract yourself from responsibility, and then you wonder why nothing changes. Here's the truth. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another video or another quote. You need to stop scrolling and do one useful thing. Now, not later. Now. That one thing can be small, but it must be useful. It must matter. It must make you better. Because action creates progress, and progress creates energy, and energy pulls you forward. Scrolling doesn't do that. It pauses your life while you watch other people live theirs. People say they feel tired all the time, but they're not physically tired. They're mentally drained. Not because they work too hard, but because they didn't work at all. They spent hours looking at everything except their own path. They filled their minds with random input until there was no room left to think clearly. That mental clutter builds. It makes you feel stuck. But you're not stuck. You're buried under things that don't matter. And the only way out is action. One action. That's all it takes to break the pattern. Put the phone down. Close the tab. Turn off the TV. Choose one useful thing and do it right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not after one more post. Now. Because the longer you wait, the heavier it gets. The harder it becomes to move. But if you act immediately, even on something small, you create a shift. And that shift is powerful. It tells your brain you're not a slave to distraction. It reminds you that you're in control. It gives you a reason to keep going. And here's the best part. Once you do one useful thing, it becomes easier to do another. Momentum begins. And momentum is what turns days around. It pulls you out of a slump. It gets you back on track. Your future is being shaped by what you do now. Every scroll, every delay, every wasted minute is a brick in the wall blocking your potential. You can't say you want to improve while doing the same things that hold you back. It doesn't work like that. Improvement starts when you stop lying to yourself. When you stop saying, just 5 more minutes, and start saying, I'm done wasting time. This isn't about quitting technology forever. It's about control. It's about self-respect. It's about deciding your time is valuable and you're not giving it away to things that don't help you grow. Treat your attention like your most valuable resource, because it is. Whatever grabs it is shaping you. So be intentional. Be protective. Be ruthless about what you allow to pull your focus. If you're tired of feeling behind, if you're sick of wasting days, if you know you could be doing more, start now. Don't complicate it. Don't overthink it. Stop scrolling and do one useful thing. Wash the dishes. Plan your schedule. Take a walk. Read 1 page. Write down your goals. Respond to that message. Clear your inbox. One thing. That's it. And when you finish, do the next thing. Then the next. The more you practice, the easier it gets. You train your mind to stay present. You train your willpower to stay strong. You train your body to move with purpose, and that training spreads into every area of life. You become more disciplined at work, more focused in conversations, more intentional with your time. And people notice. You start standing out, not because you're louder, but because you're clear. You're not scattered. You're not distracted. You're grounded in action. You want a better life? Then stop using free time to avoid. Stop drowning your energy in entertainment that doesn't move you forward. Choose action over distraction. Live on purpose, not by habit. Because once you build that habit, it becomes your edge. While others waste hours, you build skill. While others chase trends, you chase growth. While others get lost in noise, you stay locked into what matters. And remember, no one is going to do this for you. No one is coming to save your time. No one is going to pull the phone out of your hand. that responsibility is yours. And that's a good thing, because if it's your responsibility, it's also your power. You can choose better starting right now. You can decide that today won't be another day lost to mindless scrolling. You can make it count. All it takes is one useful thing, one action, one shift, and that shift can lead to a better habit, a better day, and a better future. So choose wisely, choose intentionally, choose now, because your life is waiting, not for more scrolling, but for more doing, not for more content, but for more creation, not for more distraction, but for more direction. Put the phone down. Focus on one thing that makes you better. That's how you improve. That's how you take control. Chapter 6. Eat right when your body wants to quit. There comes a moment in everyone's day, sometimes more than once, when your body feels heavy, your energy drops, and your mind starts hunting for an escape. That's the moment most people reach for something quick, something salty, something sweet, something that gives instant comfort, a sugary drink, fast food, packaged junk, something greasy that tastes good for 5 minutes and leaves you feeling worse after. That's the trap. When your body wants to quit, it doesn't need more junk. It needs fuel. It needs something real. But your emotions try to convince you otherwise, because your body isn't only asking for food, it's asking for support. It's tired. And the easiest thing to do is give in to a craving. But a craving isn't a cure. It's a short-term fix with a long-term cost. The more often you give in when you're tired, the more you train your body to expect comfort in the exact moments it actually needs care. And that's where the real battle begins, not only with hunger, but with discipline. Discipline to choose what helps you recover instead of what helps you escape. When you eat better in those moments, you're not only feeding your body, you're sending a message to your brain. You're saying, I respect myself too much to sabotage my progress. You're saying, I don't need a reward right now. I need control. And that message builds momentum. It strengthens the part of you that keeps promises. It makes you more resilient, because every choice you make when you're tired reveals how serious you are about improving your life. People don't usually break down because they're weak. They break down because they stop paying attention. They move from meal to meal without intention. They live on autopilot. And autopilot always leads to regret. You don't think about how that fast food will make you feel 3 hours later. You only think about how easy it is to get. But the goal isn't to choose what's easy. The goal is to choose what supports your future, especially when your energy and motivation are low. Your energy is built on patterns. Eat trash consistently, and you'll feel like trash consistently. Your sleep suffers. Your focus fades. Your mood drops. Your body aches. And most people don't even realize food is part of the problem. They think they're tired because of stress, work, life. But a lot of that heaviness is coming from what they're feeding themselves. Your body can't perform well when it's constantly recovering from bad fuel. It can't stay sharp when it's fighting what you keep putting inside it. You don't need a perfect diet to feel better. You don't need to become a nutrition expert overnight, but you do need to wake up to the truth. What you eat is either helping you or hurting you. And when you're in a slump, when everything feels off, the worst thing you can do is reach for something that makes the slump even worse. That's the exact moment you need to step up and feed yourself with purpose. Eating right when your body wants to quit isn't only about food, it's mindset. It's treating yourself like someone who matters, someone who deserves good energy, someone who needs to stay sharp, someone who has things to build, goals to chase, a future worth protecting. You wouldn't feed a machine garbage and expect it to run well. So why would you treat yourself with less care than that? One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is, I'll start eating better when life calms down. But life doesn't calm down, and discipline doesn't grow in ideal conditions. It grows in pressure. It grows in fatigue. It grows in real life. You don't learn to eat right only when you feel good. You learn when you feel drained and still choose to eat clean. You learn when you walk past junk and grab something that supports you, because your future matters more than a craving. This isn't about being extreme. It's about being consistent. One meal can shift your mood. One meal can change your energy. One meal can remind you that you're in control. It's easy to throw away an entire day because you slipped once, but that's a mindset problem, not a food problem. You don't fix a mistake by repeating it. You fix it by choosing better next time. And next time might be the very next meal. Train yourself to see food as fuel, not therapy. You're not fixing stress with sugar, you're numbing it. And when the crash hits, the stress is still there. Only now you feel worse, and you've reinforced the habit of escaping instead of solving. But when you choose something better, something simple, clean, supportive, your power comes back. You start showing up differently. Improvement doesn't happen in big dramatic moments. It happens in small, quiet choices you make every day. What you eat when no one is watching. What you reach for when you're running low. How you handle your nutrition when you feel like giving up. Those choices stack. They build a foundation, and over time, they shape how you think, how you move, how you live. There will be days your energy crashes. That's not failure. That's human. But what you do in those moments decides what happens next. Do you feed the crash with more poison? Or do you feed it with fuel that brings you back stronger? That decision is yours. And the more often you choose right, the easier it becomes. Don't let your feelings decide your food. Let your goals decide. Let your priorities lead. Let your commitment to growth be the voice that guides you in the kitchen, at the store, at the drive-thru. Even if you're busy, even if you're tired, there is always a better choice. And the better choice doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be intentional. It has to support your energy, not sabotage it. And here's what's real. Eating right doesn't only help your body. It sharpens your mind. It clears your focus. It lifts your mood. It gives you stamina. It makes you think better, react faster, and feel more confident. When your body is fueled right, your entire system works better. That's what most people never experience, how good they could actually feel if they stopped eating like they don't care. You have to care. You have to take it seriously. You have to see food as a tool. You wouldn't pour soda into a car engine and expect it to run. So stop doing that to yourself. Respect your system. Respect your future. Respect your energy. Because your work, your relationships, your progress, everything depends on how you feel. And how you feel is shaped by how you eat. There will be moments when your emotions scream for comfort. You'll want chips, sweets, soda, fast food. and it will feel like a reward. But it isn't a reward if it destroys your momentum. It isn't a reward if it leaves you feeling worse. Start rewarding yourself with strength, with control, with discipline. Start feeling proud that you took care of yourself when it was hardest to do it. Because that's the moment you decide who you're becoming. Someone who gives in when it's hard, or someone who steps up and feeds their future. Someone who uses food like a drug, or someone who uses it like fuel. That decision is made meal by meal, day by day, moment by moment. And every time you choose right, you build that identity. You become the kind of person who doesn't quit on themselves when things get hard. So the next time your body feels tired, your mind feels cloudy, and you feel like quitting, don't reach for something that makes it worse. Reach for something that makes you stronger. Eat like your goals depend on it, because they do. Eat like your energy matters, because it does. Eat like you're going somewhere important, because you are. That's how you improve, not only in what you do, but in how you treat yourself when your energy runs low. Eat right when your body wants to quit. That's discipline. That's growth. That's real self-respect. And that's what builds a life you're proud to live. Chapter 7. Move your body even when your energy feels low. There will be days when your body feels like it's running on empty. The weight of stress, poor sleep, bad habits, and non-stop thoughts presses down on you, making even the smallest movement feel like a chore. You sit there, convincing yourself you're just tired. You tell yourself you deserve rest. You tell yourself tomorrow will feel better. But deep down, you already know this. Movement isn't only something you do when your energy is high. Movement is something you do to bring your energy back. When your body wants to shut down, that's often the exact moment it needs motion the most. You don't have to feel energized to start. You just have to begin with whatever strength you have today. Stand up, stretch, take a few steps. Let your blood start moving again. Most people wait for motivation to move. But the truth is, motion creates motivation. You don't move because you're ready. You move to become ready. Your body responds to activity. It wakes up when you show it you're still in charge. Energy doesn't come from sitting still all day. It doesn't come from lying on the couch hoping inspiration hits. Energy comes from breaking inertia. That first push feels heavy. It feels annoying. It feels like work. But the moment you take the first step, physically or mentally, you interrupt the spiral. And that interruption is power. That's momentum starting to build, even if it's small. Most people don't need a 2-hour workout. They don't need a perfect gym session. They need to move. They need to remind their body it was built to be used. Your body is not designed to stay still for hours while your mind races. That's a recipe for anxiety, fatigue, and frustration. Movement is one of the simplest ways to reset your entire system. It brings you back into your body, out of your head, and back into action. When energy is low, a mental wall shows up. You start telling yourself that movement will make you feel worse, that rest is smarter. But there's a difference between recovery and avoidance. Resting when you're truly drained can be wise, but lying down all day because you don't want to face life, that slowly kills your discipline. That's where people fall behind. Not from exhaustion, but from thinking themselves into inaction. You have to remember, movement doesn't only change your physical state, it changes your mindset. When your muscles move, your brain wakes up. Your posture improves. Your breathing deepens. Your blood circulates. Your focus sharpens. Even your emotional state lifts. There's science behind it. But more than science, there's experience. You've felt it before. That walk you didn't want to take, but felt better after. That stretch you forced yourself into, that somehow cleared your head. That small workout that gave you clarity when everything else felt stuck. Those aren't coincidences. That's proof. You don't need to feel great to move. You need to move to feel better. Waiting for the perfect mood is how people waste days. And once a day is wasted, it's gone. But if you move, even a little, the day gets reclaimed. One walk, one round of push-ups, one set of squats, one full-body stretch. That's all it takes to begin. This is about responsibility. You're responsible for how you feel. And one of the tools you have is movement. Use it. Don't surrender to tiredness without asking yourself, did I move today? Did I do anything that supports my energy instead of draining it? For many people, the answer is no. And that's why they feel heavy. Not because something is wrong with them, because their body hasn't had a chance to activate the systems designed to carry them forward. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. Your body is the tool. Use it. Wake it up. Respect it by putting it in motion, especially when it resists. Resistance is a sign movement is necessary. That stiffness you feel isn't laziness. It's your body asking for attention. Give it what it needs. Respect it enough not to ignore the signal. Think about the long-term cost of ignoring movement. You feel more tired. You become mentally sluggish. You lose sharpness in your decisions. You get moody. Your confidence drops. You start shrinking from challenges that used to feel small. That's what happens when the body is neglected. It starts pulling everything else down with it. But when you take care of it, even when it's inconvenient, you rise. You feel more grounded, more alive. And no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to lift your arms, stretch your back, or move your legs. That's on you. That's your job. That's your act of responsibility. Because every time you move when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself you're not controlled by feelings. You're in control. That's how confidence is built. Not in comfort, in action taken when it's least convenient. You're not too tired to move. You're too used to letting tiredness become an excuse. So flip the script. Redefine what tired means. Tired doesn't mean stop. Tired means start small. Step by step. Set a timer for 5 minutes and move. Most of the time, once you begin, you keep going. That's how momentum works. You just need to break the pattern. You just need the first step. Don't make it complicated. Stretch for 5 minutes. Walk around your home. Stand up and do basic movements. Shake out tension. Roll your shoulders. Move your neck. Breathe deeper. These look small, but they bring life back into a flat day. You do it once. You remember how much power you actually have. You do it daily. You become someone who doesn't quit on themselves just because they feel tired. Tiredness isn't the enemy. Stagnation is. Because when you stop moving, everything slows down. Your ideas, your creativity, your optimism, your strength. You were not designed for stillness. You were designed for growth. And growth happens in motion. There's also a quiet mental battle you don't always notice. When you choose movement over comfort, you win that battle. You tell your mind, I'm not here to wait. I'm here to act. And that message rewires everything. You stop searching for the perfect moment. You start creating it. You stop asking permission to feel better. You give it to yourself through action. You'll feel the shift faster than you think. Move your body, and your thinking clears. Move, and your mood steadies. Move, and your sense of control returns. It's simple, but it's powerful. You don't need more advice. You need to move when you don't feel like it. This habit, once built, will save you during hard times. It will carry you through fatigue, uncertainty, pressure, and low motivation. It becomes your anchor. It becomes your default response to difficulty. Don't freeze. Don't hide. Move. Even light movement gives you strength back. It reminds you you're not powerless. Most people wait to feel strong before they act. But strength is created in motion. Confidence is earned in the middle of effort. So next time your energy feels low and you think about skipping movement, remember this. You're not doing it for how you feel right now. You're doing it for how you want to feel in an hour, in a day, in a week. You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to break records. You just have to keep the promise. Move even when it's easier not to. That's how you build a stronger body. That's how you sharpen discipline. That's how you take back control of your life. Even when everything feels off, movement is your tool. Use it when the day feels heavy. Use it when thoughts feel foggy. Use it when you feel unmotivated. Because that's when it matters most, and that's when it proves who you're becoming. Someone who doesn't wait to feel good to do good. Someone who leads with action. Someone who keeps going when others stop. That's growth. That's ownership. And that's how you force yourself to improve. Chapter 8. Track your actions, not your fake intentions. Daily. You can talk about goals all day. You can say you want to improve. You can write dreams in a notebook, post quotes about discipline, tell everyone you're working on yourself. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what you actually did. Not what you meant to do. Not what you said you would do. Not what you planned to do. What you did. Your actions are the truth. Your intentions only become real when they show up in your behavior. Everything else is noise. Every day, people wake up with good intentions. They say, "Today, I'm going to eat clean, work hard, stay focused, stop wasting time." And then they return to the same distractions, the same delays, the same weak habits. They tell themselves they'll do it tomorrow. They promise they'll get serious soon. But days become weeks, weeks become months, and nothing changes. Not because they didn't want it, because they never measured whether they acted on it. This is where people get stuck. They confuse intention with action. They feel good about setting a goal and mistake that feeling for progress. But goals mean nothing without movement. You don't get stronger by thinking about workouts. You don't build skill by planning to learn. You don't create change by wishing. You grow by doing. And doing means tracking what's real, tracking what actually happened, not what you hoped would happen. If you're serious about improving, you need a record of your actions, not your thoughts, not your feelings, your actions. What did you do today that made you better? What did you avoid? What did you finish? What did you ignore? Those answers will tell you everything about your growth. Your journal shouldn't be filled with inspirational lines. It should be filled with evidence, Evidence that you showed up. Evidence that you followed through. Evidence that you moved forward. Or evidence that you didn't. This isn't about guilt. It's about clarity. Tracking removes guesswork. It forces honesty. It stops you from lying to yourself. It stops you from overestimating progress. It stops you from hiding behind the illusion of effort. It becomes simple. Either you did it or you didn't. And that kind of honesty is uncomfortable, but necessary. Because until you face the truth of your behavior, you stay stuck in the story of your intentions. People love to say, "I'm trying." But trying isn't the same as doing. Trying is vague. Trying is soft. Doing is clear. Doing is measurable. Either you made the call or you didn't. Either you showed up or you didn't. Either you stuck to the plan or you didn't. No more, maybe. No more one day. If you didn't take action, then the day was wasted. Not to shame you, to wake you up. There's power in writing things down. At the end of each day, look at your list and ask, did I take real steps toward the life I say I want? If the answer is no, don't make excuses. Don't dress it up. Admit it, then fix it tomorrow. That's how you get better. Not by pretending you're progressing, but by facing what's real. Intentions don't build discipline. Habits do. And habits are built through repeated actions, not repeated thoughts. You can't improve if your daily effort depends on how you feel or what you hope to do. You need something solid, something you can look at, something you can measure. That's why tracking matters. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets improved. You don't need a fancy system. You don't need an app. You don't need color-coded charts. You need a pen and honesty. Write down what you actually did, not what you planned. If your list is short, that's okay. If it's messy, that's fine. But it has to be real. Because when it's real, it's useful. Progress comes from consistency, not bursts of inspiration. And consistency is built through awareness. If you don't track your actions, how do you know if you're consistent? How do you know if you're improving? You don't. You guess. You hope. And that's why so many people feel lost. They don't feel progress because they never see it. They never measure it. They just chase the next motivational hit and wonder why they're still in the same place. Real discipline starts with observation. Pay attention to your behavior, not your excuses, not your moods, your patterns. Patterns tell the truth, and you can't change a pattern you don't see. That's why you write it down. That's why you track. You become your own coach. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on data. Every day is a vote. You're voting for the life you want, or the life you're settling for. Every action is a ballot. Every habit is a statement. Are you choosing growth or comfort? Are you acting on purpose or running on autopilot? The answers live in your actions, not your words. Treat your day like it matters, because it does. Treat time like it's valuable, because it is. You don't have forever. You don't have unlimited chances. Every day you delay is a day further from your potential. And potential without action is wasted space. It's easy to talk about goals. It's easy to plan. But planning isn't progress. Talking isn't work. The only thing that matters is what gets done. Track that. Build that. Measure that. Your future is being shaped by what you do, when no one is watching, and your daily actions reveal exactly who you are becoming. This isn't about being perfect. You will mess up. You will have bad days. But if you track your actions, you'll see the pattern. You'll know when you're slipping, and you'll catch yourself before you fall too far. That becomes your safety net, not motivation, clarity. You want to grow? Prove it with action. Prove it by tracking your behavior when it's hard. Prove it by facing the gap between what you say and what you do. That's where change begins. That's where improvement starts. Not in intention, in action. So every day, ask one simple question. What did I actually do today to improve? Write the answer. Face it. Learn from it. Build on it. Repeat. That's how you change your life, one real action at a time. No fluff, no fake motivation, just the truth. The honest, consistent truth. And if you do that every day, you become unstoppable. Not because you dreamed it, because you earned it. One tracked action at a time. Chapter 9. Look in the mirror and tell the truth. Stand in front of the mirror, not to fix your hair, not to adjust your clothes, not to check your face. Stand there to face the one person who knows the full truth about you. No filters, no performance, no distractions. Just you and your reflection. This isn't about appearance, it's about honesty. It's about accountability. Because growth starts the moment you stop lying to yourself. You can pretend to the world. You can act like everything is fine. You can smile in front of others while hiding behind habits. But when it's just you in the mirror, none of that works. That reflection doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't listen to your stories. It doesn't applaud your intentions. It shows you what is. And most people avoid that level of truth, not because they can't face it, because they've gotten comfortable running from it. It's easier to say, "I've just been busy," than to admit, "I've been wasting time." It's easier to say, "I'm working on it," than to admit, "I haven't done a single thing I promised." It's easier to focus on someone else's flaws than to admit you're not showing up for yourself. But all of that keeps you stuck. No matter how much you talk about change, nothing changes until you stop protecting comfort and start protecting truth. You need to look yourself in the eyes and be direct. If you've been lazy, admit it. If you've been inconsistent, own it. If you've been avoiding the hard work, call it what it is. Not to shame yourself, to respect yourself enough to stop pretending. Pretending never makes you stronger. It makes you soft. It makes you small. It delays the changes that could change everything. The mirror doesn't lie. That's why it's powerful. It reminds you your life is the result of choices, not the past, not circumstances, not potential. Choices. And if you want better results, you need better decisions. But you can't make better decisions while you're lying to yourself about where you are. There's nothing wrong with being behind. There's nothing wrong with struggling. There's nothing wrong with falling off track. The problem is pretending you're not. The problem is acting like you've got it all figured out while deep down you know you're drifting. Truth might hurt in the moment, but it gives you power to restart with clarity. Lies might feel better for a second, but they trap you. So build the habit of facing yourself daily, not once in a while, not only when everything falls apart. Every day, ask the real questions. Did I do what I said I would do? Did I act on priorities or distractions? Did I grow today? Or did I just go through the motions? Those answers can't be sugar-coated. They need to be honest, even if they sting, because that sting wakes you up. It breaks the pattern. It tells you, enough. That's when real change becomes possible, not when you're inspired, when you're honest. And that honesty can only come from you, not from a book, not from a podcast, not from advice. From looking at yourself and saying, this is where I am, and this is where I need to go. You don't grow by looking away. You grow by looking directly at what's holding you back. And most of the time, it isn't something out there. It's a decision you keep avoiding. It's a habit you keep justifying. It's a standard you keep lowering. But once you name it, once you say it clearly, it loses power over you. The weight of denial drops. And now you have raw material for progress. You don't need to be cruel to yourself, but you do need to be clear. Kindness doesn't mean excuses. Kindness can mean truth, so you can move forward. It means respecting yourself enough to stop hiding. It means holding yourself to the standard you say you want. And that requires checking in with the one person who knows the real answers. You. Your goals don't need better intentions. They need alignment. Your actions need to match your values. Your time needs to match your priorities. Your effort needs to match your dream. And the only way to check that alignment is to look in the mirror and ask, am I living in a way that honors what I say I want? If the answer is no, that means you have work to do. And that's okay. The work is what transforms you. Every time you choose truth over comfort, your foundation gets stronger. You build resilience. You build mental clarity. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop drifting and start directing. But none of that happens without a daily moment of truth. Accountability, not for punishment, for progress. This habit, this raw honesty, builds character. It sharpens decision-making. It makes you quicker to correct behavior. It keeps you aware of patterns. And awareness gives you control. Control gives you the ability to pivot. It gives you the mindset to improve, not someday, now. So don't run from the reflection. Don't avoid it because it's uncomfortable. Use it. Let it remind you of your standards. Let it show where you've improved. Let it highlight the gaps you need to close. The mirror isn't your enemy. It's your checkpoint. It's your compass. And the more often you use it honestly, the more progress you make. There will be days you don't like what you see. That's part of growth. You won't always be proud. You won't always be on point. But if you're honest, you're still on the right path, because truth leads to correction, and correction leads to better results. One of the most dangerous habits in personal growth is pretending you're improving when you're not. That illusion gives you just enough comfort to stop trying. But your future doesn't need illusions. It needs action. And action starts with truth. So stand there. Look yourself in the eyes. Speak the truth. Not to break yourself, but to build yourself. Not to shame yourself, but to sharpen yourself. Not to stay stuck, but to move forward. Say what needs to be said. Admit what needs to be fixed. Recognize what needs to change. Then go do it. Because once you tell yourself the truth, there's no room left for lies. Only room for movement. Only room for work. Only room for progress. That's how you grow. Not by hoping, not by pretending, by being brutally honest. consistently, especially when it's hard. Because honesty practiced daily becomes your edge. It becomes your fuel. It becomes the foundation for everything you're trying to build. Strength starts right there in the mirror. Face it. Tell the truth. Use it to rise. Chapter 10. Stop negotiating with your weakness. Every single day, there's a moment that shows up. Sometimes right when you wake up. Sometimes when it's time to start. Sometimes when no one is watching. In that moment, a voice inside you tries to make a deal. It whispers, "Just skip it today." It says, "You've done enough." It says, "You can start fresh tomorrow." That voice is not your friend. That voice is weakness, trying to convince you that comfort matters more than commitment. And every time you listen, you train yourself to step back instead of step up. Weakness doesn't knock on the door and announce itself. It shows up disguised as logic, as a soft excuse, as a temporary delay. But it isn't temporary. The more you entertain it, the more it becomes your default. The more you negotiate, the more you teach yourself that falling short is acceptable. And that becomes your habit. That becomes your identity. Soon, you don't even notice it. You think you're tired. You think you're overwhelmed. But what's really happening is you've gotten used to letting weakness choose for you. You have to cut that off. You have to reach a place where the decision is already made. No debate. You said you would do it, so you do it. You said you would finish, so you finish. You don't ask if you feel like it. You don't weigh pros and cons. You don't pause to search for an easier option. You act. You move. You execute. Not because it's easy, because that's how strength is built. Discipline doesn't appear by accident. It grows by repetition. Every time you say no to weakness, you say yes to your potential. And that yes stacks up. It builds trust. It sharpens your thinking. It turns your standards into something real. But if you keep opening the door to doubt, hesitation, and softness, you build the opposite. You reinforce inconsistency. You feed the part of you that doesn't want to grow. Weakness will always give reasons. It's too early. It's too late. You're too tired. You had a long day. You deserve a break. It's just this one time. It sounds reasonable. But every time you accept those reasons, you hand over a piece of your edge. And over time, you stop expecting anything from yourself. You become someone who waits to feel ready instead of someone who acts with purpose. You don't have to be motivated to move. You don't have to feel inspired to follow through. You have to stop making room for negotiation. The moment you allow yourself to decide whether you'll do what you said, you've already lost. Because weakness is always louder than discipline when you give it time to speak. Strength comes from deciding before the moment arrives. You train yourself in advance. You choose what matters. You build your non-negotiables. And when the moment shows up, you don't think, you act. That's how professionals operate. That's how leaders build habits. That's how strong people live. Not because they always feel great, because they refuse to listen to the part of them that wants to quit. Understand this. Weakness is not an identity. It's a choice. You weren't born soft. You weren't born undisciplined. You became that by giving in little by little. And you can reverse it the same way. One decision at a time. Because every day is a battle between who you were and who you're becoming. Between easy and necessary. Between comfort and growth. You don't win that battle by hoping for better thoughts. You win it by acting faster than your excuses, by creating routines that lock you into progress, by refusing to leave the door open for weakness to walk in. And that starts with honesty. Where are you negotiating with yourself? Where are you telling yourself partial truths? Where are you letting delay disguise itself as planning? Once you spot it, cut it. No more back and forth. No more letting emotions run decisions. Emotions change. Standards don't. If you only act when everything feels good, you'll never see what you're capable of. Your best work happens when you act despite how you feel. That's where growth lives. Inside discomfort, inside effort, inside the quiet moments when no one is watching and the only person who can hold you accountable is you. Think about how much time you've lost talking yourself out of action, how many goals you pushed back, how many plans you started and didn't finish. Not because you couldn't, because you kept negotiating with weakness. Every skipped task, every delayed start, every lazy excuse, it adds up. But the opposite adds up too. Every disciplined step, every time you push through, every action you take without giving softness a vote, that adds up too. And that's what turns average into exceptional. There's a part of you that already knows what needs to be done. It doesn't need more motivation. It needs more commitment. It needs fewer escape routes. It needs you to take quitting off the table. That's how you become different. Not by dreaming, not by hoping, by removing the option to back down. That's real strength. Not loud, not flashy, quiet, solid, consistent. And when you stop negotiating, you feel it. You walk taller. You speak with more certainty. You carry yourself differently because now you trust yourself. You know you won't fold when it's hard. You know you don't need ideal conditions. You know your word means something. That's not just discipline. That's power. That's how confidence is built, through action repeated without excuses. You don't have to fix everything in one day. But you do have to stop giving yourself reasons to stay the same. That means getting uncomfortable. That means choosing what moves you forward over what feels good right now. That means doing what matters even when your mood says otherwise. This isn't about being perfect. You will slip. You will get tired. But the difference now is you don't sit down and negotiate with the voice that says quit. You hear it, and you don't respond. You move anyway. You work anyway. You finish anyway. That's how momentum is built. Through consistency, through ownership, through refusing to settle for less than your best effort. Every day, the choice is yours. Feed your weakness, or feed your strength. Give in to excuses, or rise above them. Listen to fear, or act through it. No one else can make that choice for you. But once you make it, once you decide to stop negotiating, everything begins to change. Not instantly, steadily, day by day, action by action. Your goals don't care how you feel. They care what you do. Your future doesn't need more conversations about what you might do. It needs execution. It needs action taken when it's hard. That's where transformation starts, in the decision to do the work without opening the door to doubt. So stop explaining why you can't. Stop waiting until it feels right. Stop looking for another reason to delay. Decide who you want to be and act like it. No debate, no negotiation, just action, over and over, until discipline becomes normal, until the voice of weakness gets quieter, until progress becomes your new standard. And when that becomes your way of living, you won't need motivation anymore. You'll be powered by consistency. You'll be led by your own example. And you'll become the kind of person who doesn't back down. Not because life is easy, but because you chose long ago to stop negotiating with anything that weakens you. That's how you grow. That's how you improve.